Okay, took in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was told by somebody this morning that this is Constitutional Day, whatever that means. Celebrating the Constitution. So I guess we're fulfilling our constitutional duty as public servants. Meeting today. Any comment from the public? Mary, you're the only public here. Do you have anything you want to? Okay, so moving right along. I assume you've had a chance to read the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
I shall move. I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, commission comments and committee reports.
I have a project concern meeting tomorrow here in Atchison. We're going to go over the 2019-2020 budget.
Anything else, Bill?
That's all I have.
I have a kneecap meeting in Hiawatha this Thursday evening. That's the only thing I have.
Okay. New business before the board. Deborah Thompson, County Appraiser, talking about the 2018 real estate appraisal and sales ratio stuff. Yeah, we do. She was on the board here, so.
Well, I believe, did Michelle email this to all of you or just to?
Yes, you did. Do you have a copy?
No, I don't have a copy with me.
Yeah, I do have a copy. I can share it. So.
Well, what was just mailed out to all counties by the Division of Property Valuation was a letter addressed to the county commissioners. It's just brief in here explaining it includes the 2018 real estate appraisal sales ratio study pursuant to that statute. So it's just a statistic that they have to do on each county every year based on what the sales ratio is calculating.
Deborah, you might explain what sales ratio is.
The sales ratio is the appraised value of each property divided by the sales price. So that's how we establish the sales ratio.
So the higher the ratio, the more accurate.
Well, to be in compliance, we're supposed to be in the range between 90 and 110. So there's 10 points either direction. But on our statistics, we're at the 98.5 for residential and 99 for commercial industrial.
That's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
So that means we're just a little bit below.
98.5 was kind of an A in high school.
So we're just a little bit below the sale price, which is good, I think.
Fantastic.
And then on this spreadsheet, there's other statistics that they do for the COD, which is the coefficient of dispersion, which is a statistic used to measure the uniformity. So we're doing good on that too. We're supposed to be below 20. And on here, it's at 11.7 and 10.4. So they said that in the letter then that we met the statistical performance standards established for the commercial and residential classes.
Okay.
Good job.
So,
Good job.
yeah, this was off the 2018 values, so they're like a year behind, so they'll be sending out the 2019 a year from now.
But those are 2018 sales.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've already gotten the 2019 statistical compliance, which I think you got, and we've met that also for 2019 for the statistical compliance.
Does anybody have any questions? Hey, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good news. Okay. Moving right along, I'm going to go some. Stick in there. We are going to offer a contract for employment to James Harbour. He'll be the director of Public Works for the county. The contract needs to be approved by us and then by him to be official. If we sign it and he signs it, they plan for him to start work on October 9th. So I think all the commissioners had a chance to review the contract. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the contract.
Just a one signature.
It's just one signature.
You want to approve the contract?
Approve the contract and then at the same time authorize me to sign.
I'll soon make that motion.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0. So I will sign this, and then Jamie, you take it, or Pat, you take it.
Probably Jamie.
And you'll let us know when he's signed.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Okay. Roger Denton, discussion on low water crossing bids.
Last Tuesday, we had a bid opening for the low water crossing. I have sent each of you information related to that. I have spoken at length with the low bidder on this, which was Jeff Wagner with Wagner Construction. We have his proposal. What I would suggest is that I recommend that we approve that low bid of $30,625 to Wagner Construction for the repairs of that low water crossing, assuming, and again, budget-wise, I don't know exactly where the money is coming from, but I am assuming it will come out of the general fund road and bridge repairs. And having gone through that, the additional thing is Mr. Henderson was successful in getting a permanent public right-of-way agreement and a construction easement for repair of this low water crossing, which has already been filed with the Register of Deeds. And so I think we're in a position where we could, if approved by the commission, we could issue a notice to proceed. He is going to be looking for a time, and I know that we're still looking at a wet fall coming up, but he has to look for a time when water levels are drier than normal, simply because there's a lot of water moves through that area. And he has asked for that consideration, and I think that's only appropriate.
So the chair will entertain a motion to approve the bid of $30,000
$625.
From Wagner Construction.
Also move.
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
It's moved and seconded. Do I have any further discussion?
The time, I realize what he's saying, but I think the services are what they get their cap out for now too, so I guess we just have to look at it. That's the best we can do.
Yeah, we can start today. It's pretty dry probably. I don't know what the forecast is.
Next 6 days, I think, right?
Yeah. Chances.
Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0. Anything else, Roger?
No. Yes. Two other things I want to bring to your attention that I promised you. I have an updated, I brought an updated map, and I brought an updated copy of that map for each of you to have. And what that does is that shows the bridges that we're in the process of working, and it gives you a written explanation of our current status on each of those bridges adjacent to them, so that it makes it easy for you to take a quick look at that and tell. There should be two there. Yeah, there should be plenty that everyone forward there gets one. And it should give you a little better information on where each of these bridges are in the process right now and how we've been working them. And it even indicates on there where we still need right-of-way from some of these. Okay? Additionally, there's no action necessary on that. Additionally, a week ago we spoke about the Kansas State Historical Society. I have 3 copies. Sorry, I only have 3 copies of that. Let me pass these 3 copies around.
You just have 2 here.
That's just one. I don't have them stapled. And there's the third. I mentioned to you the possibility of, I sent you information, and it had the possibility of a low water, another pony truss bridge that we could trade to the State Historical Society. On the back of that first sheet, there's also an informational sheet that shows you the looks of the bridge, the location of the bridge. This is one. It's shown 3 or 4 miles east of Arrington, just south of Highway 116. It was built in 1960, and when I look at the County Bridge Off-System Bridges inventory and assessment sheets, now this particular bridge is shown as a 1960 construction. It has a proficiency rating of 63, or a sufficiency rating of 63.8, which means it's in pretty good shape. And average daily count of only 10. So, and I've noticed in looking at their things, nothing has a rating less than 5 on the average daily traffic, and this is one. It's the only bridge in that mile, and you can get to the properties from either direction. I can't see this being a high priority bridge at any time, but it would be one with your authority. I would like to offer to get the Corps of Engineers and the and Schwab to help us swap bridges, or I guess this is Cook, Platte, and Struggle, to get them to help us to swap bridges for the ones that we'd like to get approved. When I say swap bridges, I mean agree to historic preservation of this bridge in lieu of 1 or 2 bridges that we're trying to get permitting for right now.
I think that's a good assessment of the situation, and I know the bridge, I think that this one would be no problem leaving status quo.
So we could give Roger the administrative authority to do that, and then.
Yeah, but isn't that just kind of kicking the can down the road? Because at some point in time, this is going to have to be replaced, and it will be historical, so we're going to have to go with a more expensive bridge at that time.
Either that, or you're going to have to design around this bridge to leave it there. It also gives you the option at that point in time to answer your first question. It is somewhat kicking the can down the road, but what you would be able to do at that time is, so that you didn't damage this bridge, and let's assume that you were unable to make the repair directly to that bridge, at that time you could acquire additional right-of-way and go around that bridge just a little bit to try and avoid it, to leave it for
move it.
State Historic.
Or move it.
Yeah. Or pick it up and move it to another location. So you are correct.
Do we need a vote to give you the authority to do that?
I don't know whether we really need a vote or not, but as long as I have a consensus of the commission.
Yeah, well, you're going to come back with some kind of proposal eventually anyway.
Well, no, actually, we would just continue with the permitting. And so I really think it'd be a good idea to have a motion to proceed with an offer of that bridge, because then there's no question in the future why it ended up there.
The chair will entertain a motion to offer this bridge. Remember,
There is no number.
I don't see a number on it listed.
7.0. Sorry. 7.0 C9.
Okay, which 701 C9?
7.0 C.9.
And offer for consideration of the historic structure.
I'll make that motion.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're ready to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Next case, Roger.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've got a couple pieces of new business here. We're gonna have a purchase order for part of our boiler reconstruction, which we're gonna get $30,000 now to help pay for the boilers. Then $21,748 will be paid 30 days after the delivery of the boilers, and the balance $47,366 to pay paid on job completion. So the total is $99,114 for the boiler. We're going to cut a check for $30,000 to Hayes Sheet Metal to purchase the initial payment on the boiler. I have a motion to approve this purchase order to Hayes Sheet Metal.
I so moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0.
This is kind of redundant because we have already approved the expense, but now the actual figure for the boiler is going through. So, I mean, I just thought maybe it stood a little bit of clarification for the public if they think that this is an addition to the.
No, it's the same thing. It's just we're cutting a check for $30,000 up front. So
Yes.
that's the biggest thing we're trying to accomplish here. And I think we have to sign in 3 places.
Yeah.
And then we also have to sign the purchase order. So well, there's 3 places to sign there. I have a purchase order to Dunn Heating and Cooling from the sheriff jail for the compressor replacement. I think we approved this before on 7/16 for $6,853. So it's going to be for $8,375.50, primarily because we had to pay for all the Freon and reclaim of the Freon. Freon was $1,762.50. The freight, the reclaim charge, the copper fittings became. So this is an additional amount of this purchase order. So it's about $1,700 more than we paid before. Chair would entertain a motion to approve this purchase order.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I think there might be another place here. Jack, you gotta sign here.
This place.
I think so.
Now, Pat, I'll let you present this. This has to do with the appointment? I think there's two purchase orders in there. I only just signed the one. At least we had a copy of the purchase order. So. The Atchison County misdemeanor and juvenile appointment list. You want to present that?
Well, yes, I can sort of explain that. As I'm sure you know, David Ferris is retiring, and he has been on the county's juvenile and misdemeanor appointment docket for several years, and so his position will need to be replaced. There are currently 4 attorneys on the list who handle all of the misdemeanor cases and juvenile cases, care and treatment cases, other cases where the court's required to appoint an attorney to represent someone. So with him coming off, of course, he needs to be replaced. I can't give you, I don't believe, any guidance with regard to who you ought to select. I am a part-time prosecutor, and picking what attorney I would go against could look doesn't pass the smell test, I guess. That someone could think I would pick the worst attorney to recommend so that things would be easier. And that would not be the case here. I know both of these attorneys. I know them both to be capable attorneys.
So both attorneys' resumes are pretty impressive, to say the least. Robert Steffen does live in Atchison, but practices in Topeka. And does he represent the Kickapoo tribe?
That wasn't completely clear to me if he was
I think he did
what he was doing there. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Does the court have a recommendation for that?
That I wouldn't know. You could put this off a week and do some background checking if you wanted to do that. I can't give you any recommendation about it.
So is this something you could take to the court to ask for a recommendation?
I would feel uncomfortable doing that.
Okay. So we need to go there and do it ourselves.
If you wanted to get their opinion, I could think you need to approach them.
I think it's worth putting off for a week to get a little
When
more
you say go to
information.
the court, are you talking about the judges or the court workers? It was his suggestion. I thought he was talking about talking to the judges, but I'm not completely.
That's what I was thinking. I said I'm on thin ice here. I don't know what the appropriate thing to do. We've got 2 qualified people applying for one job. So Bill wants to flip a coin.
I had not seen that. So did you
He
see that?
emailed Michelle emailed it out. I did not. Somebody didn't look to see.
I did not see that, so I'm not up to speed on it.
Commissioner Byers said they're both very impressive. Yeah, I see.
But I can't even make any kind of
So
decision.
let's let everybody have, even if we don't talk to the judges, let's have a week to maybe study it more depth. And I don't know when the best time to go talk to the judges is, Pat. Their office hours are.
Oh, they're generally here from 8 to 5. I think they each go to lunch, but
Okay.
they're pretty accessible.
I will try to get it. I'll try to get some accessibility to them this week and talk to them. In the meantime, everybody else take a chance to study it.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to call them and talk to them. I mean, that's probably not inappropriate either. So. Go for it. Okay. So, well, let me see that. Do I have a motion to table this till next week? I so move.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. We do have some asbestos removal, but that's within the spending limit of the department head, and I believe we gave him authority to take the lowest bid. So
He wanted to get a little bit more commitment, as I recall, for the lowest bid. That would give him authority to go to the other one if he had to.
if you want to do a public vote on this, we could, because it's kind of a unique, because the work for the asbestos removal is for $675. As far as Mr. Bowen could find, the typical fee should be $1,500 at the minimum, and the next best bid was $1,860. So we told Joe that he had the authority to do either one. Obviously, try to work with the lowest bid first. So I would entertain a motion to instruct Joe to work with a $675 bid. If he doesn't feel comfortable with it, when he gets into the details, go ahead and accept the $860 bid. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, you can do it. I'll second it.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So,
I didn't think we had to have motions on proposals till we actually got.
yeah, I don't know whether we had to have I don't know if we had to do a public vote, but now Joe knows it. It's in the public domain, so that's good.
There's a record.
Okay, any old or unfinished?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, old or unfinished business?
It's an older unfinished.
I don't think there is a county councilor update.
Yeah, I would probably like about a 15-minute executive session. I printed something I want to bring back to share with you during that on an attorney-client matter.
15, you said that?
Yeah, that should be done.
15 minutes.
I move that the county commissioners recess into executive session at 1:28 p.m. for consultation with an attorney for the public body, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship as allowed by K.S.A. 75-4319B2, and that the purpose of the closed session is to protect confidentiality of the discussion, and that the board come out of the executive session at 1:43 p.m. in the commission room, first floor of the courthouse, and those present will be the three commissioners and Pat Henderson, County Council.
I second that, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0. We're in executive session. So we're back. Anything else at the county council updates, Ben?
I talked with Brenda Hawkins, who is one of the landowners on property that we've been waiting for, and during the meeting, I noticed she sent an email where she sent a signed agreement. I haven't. I only see one signature on it, and so I think the others might be coming in. But she did promise me that she'd have an email to me today, and looks like.
I thought we already had the other lady's signature.
Well, she may have, but I don't have that because I only have. There are 4 signatures that are needed, and I have one of them back, unless I got another email since we started here. I don't see another one. So anyway, I expect that we'll have that ready very quickly. That's all I have.
We need to get hold of Roger so you get it, because I think that guy Professor Steele, he said, he quoted here a couple weeks ago, he calls him every week wanting to get started on that.
I get a call from a landowner about it as well. So yeah, I understand. Well, I understand that.
He asked me the same questions about 3 times in a row. I said, "This is where Pat's office is. You know, if you want more," and then I think he ended up with that.
Yeah, that's fine. Sometimes getting people to respond isn't quite as quick as you'd like, and you don't want to come across as pushy either.
Well, it sounds like we're gonna have some problem with the cost share of the county bridge too. With getting some
Well,
easement.
I'm not, yeah, I don't know. And if you want to talk about those items in specifics, those should be in executive session. But I had a real nice discussion with the landowner, and but I haven't talked to her since the initial discussion. So,
Anything else, Pat?
no, sir.
Okay, public comment. Mary? Any questions or? Okay,
No, I don't think so. Well, wait, there was something I asked Miss Katie about. The percentage? Yes, yes.
Do you have that thing from Debbie? The,
oh, sales ratio,
yes,
study. She could have that copy.
you can have this one.
That's not all of that, just part of it. She had another copy that she was
Yeah.
quoting some stuff off of.
But she quoted, Mary asked me about the C,
Okay.
the 11%. It's that middle column, Mary.
Okay,
And I think Jack said you can.
thank you.
Anything else, Mary?
No.
Okay, great. Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second.
Move the second, assuming you're ready to vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We adjourned at 2:47.
147?
1:47.